So yeah, kick it off with the Forgeries crew.
Cool. So disclaimer, I think it's the first time that all four of us are in the same chat. So me, Ian, Jordan, and Gami. So Ian, Gami and me met up last week for the first time in person, but we've been working asynchronously for the past maybe couple of months. And yeah, we're not really ready for the full product yet, but we wanted to share what it is. And then so there are two components basically. One is the contract part, and then one is the other one is the website. So maybe like Gummy, you can explain like what forgeries are, and then
Yeah.
what we're building.
Yeah, for sure. Can you hear me okay?
Yep.
Yes, sir. Sweet. Cool. Yeah, so I think it was in October last year, or no, August it was. I started bidding on a particular noun just with a regular domain set as my ENS, just to see if people would like visit the link when they saw it come up on the bid history. And people started following the Twitter, and I got inspired by the Mischief crew. They'd done this project called Museum of Forgeries, where they mixed a real Andy Warhol sketch with 999 fakes. And I was just thinking about like how we could replicate that kind of thing on the blockchain. So I did a tweet thread, and it went far and wide compared to all my other content. And then Ian and Emre and I got talking, and before we knew it, Ian had written some contracts. But the concept is there's a real noun locked in a contract, and then there's 1,000 forgeries or fakes sold, and then they're used to authenticate with the machine. And if you have the real one, you get the actual noun out of the contract. So at the core, it's a raffle protocol, but thanks to Ian's brilliant idea, it's more of a hyperstructure on which we can build all sorts of on-chain games, and I can envision a like Squid Game type thing happening. And it reminds me a bit of like Mario Party as well, where you can play and dominate and then literally lose all your coins at the last second to someone in last place. So yeah, that's pretty much all I need to share on that side of things, but I'll leave it up to the guys to get on the more technical stuff, because it goes over my head after a certain point. Oh yeah, and sorry to mention, with the drawing of the winner, there was a verifiable random draw using Chainlink VRF, and the contracts have been audited by a Code Arena contest, and we're pretty much just at the point where we're finishing off like front end, a rebrand of sorts, and figuring out how to sort of release this thing to the world. And we're going to try to do it through a builder DAO or nouns DAO proposal, because of the alignment with giving away a noun, and then also because the recent release of Nouns Connect is something else fun to play with, where we could potentially deploy the protocol and the additions and basically use like a nouns type proposal as a bit of a launch pad. So I'm thinking about that at the moment. And on that note, it's probably a good time to talk about the contracts.
Yeah, so the contracts follow a pretty standard factory pattern. The base of the factory is upgradable in case that new contracts could have users. We could upgrade the implementation for future updates, but if a user decides to make a contract at a fixed version, that's possible too. And then it uses a Open Zeppelin clone. And as soon as you create the contract, your raffle starts. So we pull in link tokens, and there are a bunch of settings around what the raffle tickets need to be, what token IDs are valid for the ticket. And as soon as the raffle starts, the next step is to request randomness from Chainlink. And the way the Chainlink randomness VRF works is on chain, you formulate a request saying, I want to get this many words of randomness. And then Chainlink withdraws the valid ERC20 link tokens from your contract as payment and calls back your contract in a separate transaction that then returns a random word amount in it. And then the random word you can operate. So right now we're just storing it and we pick a random user out of all of them based off the list of words. And as that user can go and ask the contract, have I won or not? So there's a level of indirection involved where users have to go and ask. If the user that has the winning NFT within a predefined period of time, minimum a day, decides or is maybe not able to access the token, the winning token, etc., or up to, I think it's a month, then the draw is re-rolled using Chainlink in the exact same way as before, and a new winning NFT is selected. The user that has the winning raffle NFT can then go and call and say, give me whatever I won from the contract, and then the escrow token will be transferred to them. If if every user does not withdraw within a certain amount of time, the owner can then take the NFT back from the contract. I highly doubt that'll ever happen too often, but it's just a time lock that goes quite a bit into the future. And the idea here is that even if the raffle doesn't start for whatever reason, or people lose interest, like it has to be locked up for an amount of time to be fair that the users that are entering the raffle actually have something that can go back to them. The other nuance, I guess, is if you, and this is a question people have asked, so I'm just gonna answer it a little earlier. If you have the winning ticket and you sell it, then the person that owns it when the drawing is selected, you could theoretically win and then transfer the NFT. The winning withdraw is also transferred. So it'd be interesting to think about, like, do you need to tell users, like, if your NFT is up for sale, like maybe it's a tactic to sell your winning lottery ticket NFT, a raffle ticket NFT, sorry, not lottery, to sell your winning raffle ticket rather than actually with redeeming it. So there's interesting like levels of mechanics that can come into this using an NFT based approach.
Yeah, it's also like usable by like anyone basically. So it's when it's deployed on chain, so anyone will be able to, deposit their, NFT in there, and then they can basically like create a raffle based on any collections out there. So say, okay, we're doing a raffle among DEF holders, and then DEF holder tokens will be immediately they can immediately participate in it, and now we can give away something using the same contract.
And
Yeah, sorry.
I was just going to add our intention is to continue doing this with like high value NFTs, and from a marketing perspective, appeal to the different communities of those NFTs, but also encourage builders to come in. So we're trying to figure out if we should do a DAO or anything like that at the moment. But yeah, also just trying to make it as accessible as we can, and have some fun with it above all else.
Yeah, and then like long-term goal is there'll be games like this. So there'll be the Omega protocol, which is like a console, and then these will be different, cartridges, like games basically, and then anyone will be able to use those games to, build their own, raffles, or use different auction types, or like anything basically. That's so they'll all be like public goods, all on chain. Yeah, and maybe you can see the website, Jordan.
Hey guys, I'm Jordan. I worked on the website, so not as big brain as Ian, but pretty cool stuff. We got to explore some fun ideas. So I'll just share my screen. 1 second.
I'm sure Ian was just using ChatGPT, so you don't need to sell yourself short.
Easy prompts. Write a hyperstructure repo contract.
Yeah,
give me a-
Actually, I
give
have
me
a
a
good
quick
thing to say about
hyperstructure.
that. I was writing this with I hooked up ChatGPT to a typewriter, and one of the things I asked it was, how do I implement a VRF contract V2? And it wrote code that looked plausible, but if you actually know how to implement it, it is 100% wrong. It was very confidently wrong.
Yeah, so just to give some context behind the website, Gammy, I started on this project a bit after Gammy, Emre, and Ian. I think Ian had already started on the contract, and Gammy and Emre just gave me a brief on what they kind of wanted the website to be. So they gave some visual inspiration, and it was mainly like 80s, retros, 90s computer tech stuff. So I then started looking at it with Ealing, who I also worked on it with, and she's in this call. But we decided we wanted to do something a bit more playful, so we went with a Japanese game show aesthetic. And yeah, so we're just playing with that idea that there's one winner, and yeah, so I'll just play through it. I'm not sure if you guys can hear the audio, but there's some sound, just a bit. But yeah, so play. And then it'll show all your forgeries you own with their ID at the top. And here they're all pumped, ready to get scanned, and because they all believe they're the real ones. So yeah, pretty cool. They're all doing different animations. So here's some doing jumping, some are like, come on. They do that. Some are very confident. So yeah, they're all ready to get scanned. So let's scan them. Oop. Yep. There's a bug. Hold on.
Oh, thank God.
There.
Thank God. I'm glad we got the bug out of the way early.
Yeah, it looks so polished, Jordan.
So this is a scanning process, and here you can see they're reacting to their fakeness, and then we're counting them. And yeah, you can also press buttons here. We haven't implemented them yet, but here you can give support or mock or boo or slow clap them. So it's a little more fun. But yeah, so we'll just go through all 10 for now.
Yeah, just don't scan the real one.
Yeah, not
Don't
ready yet.
Yeah.
So is the UI sort of like how does it tie with what's happening under the hood with the smart contracts?
So it's I think we basically get if it's real or fake, and then we're just building all this extra stuff on top of it.
Yeah, got it. Yeah.
Yeah. So we know prior, but it's just a little fun scanning thing. And then here they're all disappointed, they're reacting. But yeah, and then you can see your fake count. And yeah, that's it for now. Yeah.
We're trying to think of like a consolation prize for all the losers as well. Maybe we could do like a vinyl toy or something, but somebody's going to get a noun that costs 95 ETH. So I think that everyone else is going to be pretty disappointed, to be fair.
You could send them some of the noun glasses that you had on earlier.
That's a good idea, actually.
Those are great.
Actually, we got an allocation of Noun's vision glasses, like the sort of luxury style ones. Maybe I could do something with that. But anyway.
It's awesome.
Thanks for showing us too, Jordan. That it's looking really good.
Thank you.
We hardly know each other, us four guys.
Jordan,
Um,
did you create the 3D downs in the animation?
Yeah, I did it in collaboration with Ealing, but she did a lot of all the fun, nuance reactions. So
That's
I can't
awesome.
take all the credit for that. Yeah.
You do that in like Blender? How do you even make those?
Yeah, she did it in Blender, and then I was using React 3 to they have this GLTF to JSX program. So then put the GLB file in there and then outspits it in JSX, and you can run animations like that.
That's awesome.
yeah, that is
Yeah.
awesome.
Also some
Uh,
pretty fancy animation and CSS work with the interactive computer as well. That's cool.
Yeah, thank you. That's also a 3D model. Yeah. So
Cool. Well, folks in the chat are enjoying the project. I guess I'm obligated to ask when will you launch? And maybe I missed it, but how are you planning to price the raffle tickets?
That's a good question.
You don't know, yeah.
So I ran a bit of an experiment right at the beginning,
Yeah.
with a 1,000 edition drop, and sold about 180 of them at 0.14 2069 ETH, and that was to fit in a bit of profit and all that sort of thing, but at the same time, I think it's too high, and also I never really intended for it to become what it has become. I was just experimenting. So the people that have bought in, I think what we're going to do is when we launch, we're going to launch a new editions contract and drop 2 for every one to the original buyers, and then sell the rest at a reduced price. Because I think just breaking even is perfectly fine. And then the amount that I've spent on the build and the audits, I think we're going to be able to recover that with a proposal, either to build the DAO or Nouns DAO. And one bit of feedback I got from 4156 and a couple of the other founders at Nouns, that they were kind of like, they weren't sure how it would go as a Nouns proposal, because some people would have regulatory concerns depending on where their business or their operations are located. But there's definitely a risk of it being deemed a sweepstake or lottery and that sort of thing. But in most jurisdictions, it's a matter of introducing a skill step. So I'm very glad that Ian had the idea of the Merkle layer and being able to build all different stuff on top of it that involves skill and games. So yeah, we're thinking like maybe in a couple of weeks we'd be ready to launch. But regardless, I think we can do the proposal and start to play with how we could actually deploy it from a DAO proposal transaction.
Yeah. So we're also considering open editions, maybe, and then airdrop some tokens to, builder DAO ecosystem, or to Nouns holders, or sub DAOs of Nouns. But we haven't really figured that out yet. Yeah.
Yeah, it's funny the mention there from Cody too around all the open edition mania, and it's interesting. Like, we've been playing around with this idea since September and selling editions since October for an experiment, and yeah, it's kind of like before all this mania, and it's interesting because it's what caught Ian's attention, and he reached out to me because I'd used Zora's open edition tools, and it seems like the attention that like Jack Butcher has brought with checks and all these other sorts of things going on, it's pretty crazy, but it's fun to see what people are building. It's really cool.
Another thing that's interesting, at least on the open edition side, is now that these really big editions are going out for less less cost than before. I think we're seeing this interest in artists wanting to come up with collector mechanics to interact with the body of work. Burn to Redeem is pretty popular. I think we're going to see some sort of raffles coming up as well. So I think this is like a well-positioned protocol to kind of grab some of these, what are different gamification tactics when an artist has released a large collection, they want people to kind of work their way into maybe more rare pieces in the artist portfolio.
Yeah, that's very cool. You guys are ahead of the curve with it. Sorry, go ahead, Jeff, Cody.
Yeah, no, I was going to say the same thing, which is that like there's so many open editions right now, and I think people are already getting tired of this, like the burn mechanic. Like it's like that's pretty clear. Like injecting like some gambling into it via raffle would certainly excite the degens. You get into, I mean, shaky legal ground. I don't even want to know how to approach that, but if it's like if the whole thing is it's like you're making a raffle system that's like a hyperstructure, and you're like, listen, just like check it out. This is all our code is here. It's all auditable. Maybe that will be the persuasive, edge there. It's sort of like the hyperstructure community solve for this kind of degeneracy, gambling, raffle, fun time.
The other thing is there is the checking element. If you don't check, you don't get it. So that's the level of skill to go in and like request that data from the website, because there's no other way. Like without that request, you won't know the result, which is a level of skill.
In Australia, it's really weird. Like my company is based in Singapore, which is very different to Australia with these kinds of regs, but they both have this similar rule around like lotteries and sweepstakes, where they'll often deem providing 25 words or less why you should win as being a skill step. But the regulatory concern's definitely something that's been something to spend time on, and still receiving more feedback as we go as well. But I think what you said, sorry, I missed your name, Cody, about doing things in a this hyperstructure format and making it all, completely open source, verifiable, all that sort of stuff. At least it's a method that's, protecting people, as opposed to just like trusting loads of random contracts coming from, copy pasta, all that sort of stuff.
I'm not a lawyer, but I also wonder if you could do something like owning one of the NFTs, even a forgery NFT, like automatically lets you vote. Like there is a DAO, and some percentage of the funds go to the DAO, and that way you could plausibly say that the NFT's actual function is governance of a treasury.
Yeah.
And
yep.
Emre had this idea.
Yeah, so we've been thinking about that. So calling it authenticators DAO. So they authenticate the real token, and then we put like some of the proceeds from the mint to the treasury, and then they'll be able to govern that treasury, and then maybe buy like another high value NFT with it, and then raffle it, within the DAO itself. So it just goes on forever.
Right. Like the DAO is only allowed to buy more forgeries.
Their own raffle, and then they do their own raffle, and then from that there'll be, maybe more tokens, and then there'll be a sub DAO of it, so on and so forth.
Actually, that's
who knows.
That's like kind of what's unfolded in nouns in a way as well. Is like you have certain people, like I've done with NARS and stuff, just trying new things, and then it just like de facto becomes a standard, and then everything that peels off ends up becoming its own DAO. So yeah, there's definitely something in that, and the protection from the sort of reg perspective is really interesting as well. Thanks for that, Jamie.
I'd like to emphasize that I am definitely not a lawyer, nor do I play one on TV.
Yeah.
Good.
That's cool.